Hello everyone, I'm John Higgins and welcome to the YouTube channel John Higgins Film Review. And for a change, we're actually going to be doing something which isn't filmic but is theatrical. And I'm delighted to welcome Helen Fox, who is the director of the Fox and Hound Theatre Company. I think I got that right, did I?
The artistic director, yeah.
Okay, that's great. And what we're going to be talking about is some upcoming theatre productions that she's got in the works, and she will explain what they are when we're going into. So, Helen, thank you very much for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, I understand from what I've been reading is that this theatre company is more aimed at disabled and neurodiverse people in terms of what it represents. Is that like an overview? Does it cover all demographics as well?
Um, it wasn't intentional. Uh, we formed the theatre company 9 years ago, and one of the productions we did 6 years ago now was about a young girl with autism. And actually, through the journey of doing that at Fringe, and we have subsequently done it at Scottish Parliament, we have discovered that the team in its entirety is neurodiverse, and I am also disabled. And so it's not that we do disabled and neurodiverse work as such, but more that we want to highlight that disabled and neurodiverse people work in the industry, produce quality work, and can be included without becoming an issue.
hmm I mean, it is interesting because obviously we've been talking a lot about inclusivity across the board. I mean, it's something that the film industry has been focusing on. I mean, maybe we're not as aware of it in theatre, but I mean, it's just as important. I mean, I hear it a lot as somebody who's a film person and involved. I mean, I often hear about people getting involved. I mean, your friend Aviana Snow is very good at this. She's, doing a lot of hard work as a representative in the equity community. I mean, obviously, I mean, just tell me a bit more about your theatre journey. Where did you start? What was the spark that led to it? And what kind of said to you that this is something possible?
Um, so I trained as an actor initially, and then unfortunately I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, but took a few years to get the diagnosis, and I wasn't in a position to continue performing at that point. So I actually did a degree in psychology, and then once I had recovered enough, I came back and knew that really acting, as interesting as the psychology was, acting was what I wanted to do, by which time I had moved to quite a remote location in the southwest of Scotland, and there is very little in the way of arts infrastructure. There's Dumfries and Galway Arts Festival, who do a brilliant job, and there's DG Unlimited. But I knew that if we wanted to perform, we were going to have to create ourselves. So we started the theatre company. I started writing, and we haven't looked back. We've done probably 25 productions in the last 9 years.
hmm And sort of, I mean, obviously, we'll get to the three productions you're about to do. And obviously, what sort of productions have you focused on? Are they the classics? Are they Shakespeare? Are they modern? Are they kind of historical classics? Lots of stuff to choose from, I suppose.
Oh, there definitely is, but we are predominantly, contrary to what the shows we're about to discuss would infer, we're predominantly a new writing company. So whether that's short one acts, full length, site specific, um, improv, comedy work. We've done comedy musicals, and we're actually in the process of writing our first serious musical.
hmm And obviously, what's the audition process to join your theatre company? Does it follow the same mandate as others? I mean, how does your audition process work?
We will simply put out an open call as and when we have the funding to include a larger body of people, be they actors or designers, directors. Um, and for us, it's free to anyone. There's no No closed door. It's there for anyone to apply. And we would do that just through our socials.
Hmm. Sounds really good. I mean, accessibility. I know there are obviously people who'll be watching this thinking, I mean, I went through it as somebody who trained as an actor and went through the audition process with amateur dramatics companies like the Tower and Kensington Drama Company, although I did do backstage with them. And I did successfully manage to do 5 years of acting training myself. I mean, it's also good because I think you've got a really healthy perspective, and I think that's something that will certainly stand you in good stead the more it goes on. So let's focus on the three productions, and obviously, I'm going to let you tell us what the productions are about and why you picked them.
Okay, so the journey actually starts quite a long time ago to the inception of the company. We fell in love with the play 27 Wagons Full of Cotton, and it was one that is really performed because short works of any of the big writers are really performed. We took it to the Fringe and we got a sellout run there. We then took it down to Brighton Fringe and then we shelved it for a while doing new writing and other things. And then about 2 years ago, we got the opportunity to perform at the Redgrave in Bristol. And that play came calling again, I think, because of everything that was going on in the media to do with women and women's safety. And we decided to then look at another couple of plays that we had performed at the Fringe at other times of Tennessee's, which were Ivan's Widow and Talk to Me Like the Rain and Let Me Listen. We have toured from Edinburgh down as far as Marlow over the last year and a half with those productions. And then in November, we had almost a sellout show at the Tobacco Factory with those productions. And then we decided, because really the director would like to have a whole body of short Tennessees so that audiences or venues can pick and choose the three that they would like to see. So we decided to take on, we put Ivan's Widow to one side and we decided to take on The Fat Man's Wife for this version of the trio that we're doing in London.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is interesting because I mean Tennessee Williams. I mean Streetcar Named Desire. I mean I saw Jessica Lange in the 1996 London production, and I mean it was more about seeing Jessica Lange per se because I had a tremendous crush on her. But I did see the play, and obviously the whole thing. I mean Imogen Stubbs and Toby Stevens were in that production. Toby Stevens played. Um, was in the lead there. So, I mean, obviously, in terms, let's talk a bit about your rehearsal process and everything else. I mean, in terms of, what's the process that you go through? I mean, is it a long process? I mean, obviously, if you're working on a number of productions, there's obviously an overlap. I mean, how do you dovetail the specifics of rehearsal when you've got such a demanding schedule?
Our rehearsals are always very relaxed. Uh, we never rehearse longer than 6 hours, and that includes breaks and lunch, because I don't think it benefits the performers to eke out every hour in the day to get the best performance. We do a lot of talking about the text, about the time, what was going on socially and politically at the time, and Tennessee writes such beautiful poetic scripts, but that are really rooted in the working classes of America. That there's a lot to discuss, there's a lot to eke out, but it's all done in a really relaxed way, a really organic way. Everybody gets input into a production, no matter what your role is within the company. And collectively, I think we come up with these beautiful pieces, performances, because of that.
Hmm. And what's I mean, I have some pictures. I did notice that you have kind of a portable theatre. I guess that's what you could describe it. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, that's fantastic because this sort of goes back to the vintage days, back in the 19th century when people would just travel the country and set up their productions and just perform to the masses, not overly sure. I mean, obviously Williams is a bit more contemporary. But I mean, what's it like? How do people react when you set everything up and people get going? Are they kind of are they really kind of focused and attentive?
Yes, and I think that is in large part to do with the scripts. The stories are just, they're dark and they're sad and they're poetic, but they also feel really familiar to people, albeit some of them were written almost 100 years ago. Um, but yeah, we have to be dynamic with our sets because we only have a tiny little trailer that we move around the country in. And so everything, when things are being designed, everything has to be able to fit inside the trailer. And it's a bit of a puzzle to do that. And sometimes the venues themselves gasp at what we can get into it.
Hmm.
But it means that our creativity is challenged to give audiences a real sense of time and place, but without ever being able to give them a whole box set or something really traditional like that.
Hmm. And tell us about some of the performers. I mean, are there any standouts? I mean, when you look at the cast that you've got for these productions, I mean, who are you excited to sort of, who do you feel is going to really rock the house or the theatre? I mean, obviously are there some good performers?
That's slightly difficult to say because I'm one of the performers.
Okay,
So
well, I mean, it's okay. Well, aside from yourself, I mean, I mean, obviously, I know
so
you one of the performers, but obviously, I mean, what are the others like?
so we have Coach Crawford, who is the older of the two males, playing the older of the parts in the show. He is a bit of a live wire. He's dark and dangerous and really embodies, particularly Jake Megan, who is a savage person. The coldness and the way that he has the ability to to turn in a moment from sickly sweet to just the most awful, cold, despicable character is brilliant. And then we also have the very charming Italian Massimiliano Acerbi, Sassy, who is just so full of energy and he's dynamic around the set and he makes you smile and you really get drawn in. And he has a couple of really contrasting characters. So in the first play, he is charming and full of wonder and naive. And in the third play, he is a man who takes advantage where he can.
Hmm. And let's talk about the schedule. Where can people see these plays? What's the current schedule for them?
So at the moment, the only performances we've got booked in, although it is available to be booked, is at the Questors Theatre in Ealing on Friday the 6th and Saturday the 7th of June.
Great. And of course, look up the people watching, check up the Questors Theatre. Good theatre, actually. I've been there. It's a really nice space, and it's always good to check out local community theatre because I think Aviana lives in Ealing as well, which is it's really nice and
Yes, it'll be
spontaneous.
our first time.
Yeah, should be sounds great. So let's move on and talk a little bit about what the future holds for the Fox and Hound Theatre Company. What are your plans for the next year and for the next 5 years?
So we hope to continue touring the Tennessee Williams, the Trio Tennessee. We have a production called Because We Said We Would, which is about a little boy and a little girl who grew up from the 70s together as best friends, with their particular love of Queen, but all sorts of music. And it's a white box show where the two actors actually draw all of the set and the other characters as they go along. Um, so that's lots of fun, but also has a real social kick in it. As I said, we are writing our first musical, which is based on the first play I ever wrote about the Battle of Culloden, called Glen of Echoes, and it's a trad rock musical. And so we're working with some musicians from Dumfries and Galloway to create that. And fingers crossed we get some more funding to get it through to the end of its process. We are still have in the bank the play about the young girl with autism, which is called Hound. As I said, we performed it at Parliament last year, and we're working with Autism Scotland with the hope to do a Scottish tour of it, particularly into schools to get teachers and other students having a better understanding, particularly of autism, but across neurodiversity.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a bit about your writing. I mean, obviously, what's your process? I mean, are you, does it come naturally, or do you find what are the challenges? What are the things that you find natural when it comes to writing?
When I was studying psychology, one of my tutors said I would make a better creative writer than scientist. I would say I'm quite a quick writer. I just need a little hook in my brain. We were approached by a theatre to see if I had any work that we could perform just after COVID and that. And I said, yes, absolutely. We'll see you in 6 weeks. Came off the telephone and said, right, I need to write a play because we're performing in 6 weeks. And I wrote because we said we would. So that took me about 2 weeks to write, and that's about 80 minutes, 85 minutes long. So when the mood takes me, it just comes flowing out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like you're very creative and natural anyway. I think obviously you do it, and obviously it's great because as a writer myself, that's the really nice thing about being creative because it's just you and the page or you and the laptop. I mean, in my case, as a screenwriting master, doing a master's in writing, Final Draft is terrific anyway. I've got about three or four more questions before we finish anyway. So, um, what are you most proud of about what you've been doing? What are the things that give you the motivation and the reward to keep going?
Um, I think it would have to be the audience's responses to the work that we do. We do comedy, and we've done some drunk comedy, and we've done some site-specific work, which is really brilliant for bringing in people who don't think theatre's for them, uh, young men, and seeing them take the leap from something that's quite fun and silly to coming along to our more serious work. That's brilliant. But I'm just generally chatting to audiences afterwards, the comments that they leave us about how important the work is that we do, the issues that we tackle, how important it is to keep talking about these things, and what a wonderful way theatre is to discuss all of these issues without anyone feeling like you're preaching at them. It's not a lecture, it's just a conversation between you and the audience. And I think that's probably what I'm most proud of.
Hmm. I mean, obviously, let's talk a little bit about the potential for connection and collaboration with disabled charities and stuff. I mean, is that something you're conscious of when you're touring? I mean, obviously, have disabled charities and representatives got in touch, and what's been their reaction to your endeavours?
Autism Scotland is the only charity that we have thus far worked with, and they would like to continue working with us, so that's a good thing. We would be happy to work with all sorts of charities, especially as the trio of Tennessee Williams, and because we said we would both tackle issues of female abuse, female violence in some forms. And so partnering with a charity in order to get their literature out, to get the support that's out there out, would be brilliant. It's not always as straightforward as it might seem to do that, though.
Hmm. You sent me details about the social media. Let's outline those now about where people can get you on social media. So on X, you are theatre_Fox, and on Instagram, you are Fox and Hound Theatre Company, and you can be found as Fox and Hound Theatre on Facebook. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Well, listen, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today, Helen. I mean, I really applaud you. I mean, first of all, thanks again to a quick acknowledgement to Aviana Snow who put us together. I mean, it's really great that we've been able to chat about your work today, and I hope that this video and this interview can be used as part of you're free to use this interview in your social media as a chat anyway, and I'll be glad to help in any way possible. So finally, just wrapping up, Helen Fox would say, do check out the Questors Theatre. Go to their website and book tickets as much as possible. Do support this because I think it's very important. I mean, I know we've got productions in the West End and a lot of things like that, and that's fantastic. I mean, it's always great. But remember, it's also the community theatres and the smaller theatres that do need to survive because they're a good stamping ground, good training ground, should I say, once people leave drama school to sort of hone their works and stuff. So just to wrap up for myself, you can watch this interview and others on my YouTube channel, John Ingham's Film Review. As I say, this is not a film type thing because we don't normally do it, but it was. I think we made a special exception today because I wanted to speak with Helen anyway. And of course, if you want to know more about the film side of my life, you can go follow me on Instagram at Templar_Doom. That's TEMPLER_Doom. And also you can look at my website, the review website, www.whatmovie.co.uk. So on that note, Helen, thank you very much.
Thank you.